Hey, it's Casey here. Today we're going to be doing a quick demo slash tutorial in Azure, looking at networking, traffic, touching on some network security as well. So let's get into it. I have some basic goals here. This isn't a real comprehensive list of everything you can get out of this tutorial, but just sort of main ideas. So we're going to try to observe and understand virtual machines. Going to be creating 2 virtual machines, so at least, creating them and then interacting with them, we're going to start to understand more about them. Next, we're going to observe network traffic in real time. We're going to do this via remoting into one virtual machine, having it interact and transmission over the network to another virtual machine, doing that with ping, and we'll observe this with a packet analyzer. And then finally, we're going to configure and observe security implementations, basically just changing our network security settings in Azure on our network. And then we're going to rerun or resend packets, receive them, seeing how it affects the network. The way we're going to achieve this is simply we're going to create 2 virtual machines. One is going to be a Windows machine, one is going to be a Linux Ubuntu machine. We're going to connect to one of our machines with remote desktop protocol. And in that machine, we're going to send some packets between our VMs. And we're going to observe that traffic via Wireshark, a packet analyzer. We're going to look at some different ports as well. Then we're going to configure our network security settings. I believe we're going to make an inbound rule. Then we're going to see how that security setting, our inbound rule, affects the network. So let's get right into it. All right, here I am in Microsoft Azure. I'd like to begin by creating a resource group. So let's get started. Let's just name this Net Demo. And we're going to keep it in the East US region. Okay, it's validated. Let's get that created. This Network Watcher RG is just something that Azure creates sometimes. I'm going to delete it just so, we don't have anything that's already created. We just want to have a clean slate. But either way, we should have our resource group here. Let's see if I just kind of go back to the home page, or if I refresh real quick. Yep, it took a minute, but here we are. So this is our resource group, basically just a group that you have all your resources. Pretty self-explanatory. But we need some resources, specifically some virtual machines. So let's go ahead and get our first one made. So we're going to create a virtual machine. I got here by just clicking the home page, going to virtual machines, and then create. I'm going to put this in our Net Demo resource group. And we are using an Azure subscription 1, which is basically, it's a free subscription I have, where you're basically using free credits for this. But you can use whatever subscription you have. Let's do a fun name for this VM. Let's do VM Neo. It's fun. And we're going to keep it in US East. That's where our resource group is. And then we'll keep it in availability zone 1. And this is going to be our Windows 10 machine. And then I like to put the size of this to something that can handle a bit more and won't be very sluggish. So just pick this one. So let's see, we'll make this user Neo for our username, and we'll just put in a password. All right, and make sure you just confirm your licensing box right here. Make sure to check that. Let's review and create. There are other things you could look at within your virtual machine too, but for the first one, we're just gonna basically create it by default. let it create our network things. So let's see. So basics, we've got everything here. Boom, boom, boom. Let's create. And I'm going to give this some time to fully deploy, just so all of our resources are within that virtual machine. And I give it some time because basically to get both virtual machines to be able to communicate, we want them on the same subnet or virtual network. So sometimes that isn't created as early as some of the other stuff. So we're just going to wait till it's fully developed to be, or deployed to be safe. So I'll see you then. All right, so we've got our VM Neo. Let's see if we can create another virtual machine here. So we're going to put it in that demo. We're going to call this the VM mainframe. It's fun. See, availability zone 1. We're going to make this an Ubuntu server. Yep, that looks good. And then let's put this as VM or user mainframe. You can, of course, you can name these any username you want and use any password you would like. So next, let's see. And if you look right here, our virtual network has already populated and it has gone to VM Neo VNet, meaning that this virtual machine will share the same virtual network as our first machine. So this all looks good. Let's review and create. Validation passed. And don't forget, when you're validated here, don't forget to click create. It's really easy to think that you see that green check mark and you're creating, but nope, you have to click create. And this should start deploying. All right, we'll give that some time to deploy. But while it's doing so, I'm going to pull up a notepad because our first machine, VM Neo, user Neo is going to be our user, and then password will be something else. But let's go ahead and just let's take down our IP. Let's see, so our IP here, our public IP is 74.235.89.164, and our private IP is 10.0.0.4. Okay. So what we could go ahead and do is we could go ahead and get remote desktop up. And we're going to take our public address here. We'll copy that. One second. It's the same already. Sorry about that. I'll just click. There we go. I thought I clicked that. Apologies. And then we're going to go ahead and get connected to our first virtual machine. So basically, once you've created both, we're going to remote desktop into our first virtual machine. And let's get our credentials. So it's not good to take down your credentials, but I just put my user in here. And then insert the password, or input the password that you used. 1 second. Okay. And then basically this is just because a certificate saying that cannot be totally verified. It's fine. Just click yes. Okay. And we're in our virtual machine here. It's going to take a minute to get everything set up. Okay. And for this demo, I'm not going to use any of these. I'll just turn them all off, except Just a moment, and here we are at our desktop. Okay. I'm going to go to Microsoft Edge because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and download our packet analyzer. Start without your data. Yeah, it's going to ask you some questions just because they're making you, use Microsoft. They're making you use Edge. So they're going to ask you all these questions. So what I'm going to do is just go to Wireshark, download, and here we are. Get out of some of these tabs so we don't get so laggy. Get started, and then we're going to get the Windows 64 installer here. That download, we're going to exit out of this. We won't need this tab anymore. Continue downloading. Come on. Okay. We'll exit out. We're going to go to our File Explorer. Downloads here. Wireshark. Let's get this installer installing. Next. We're just going to let it basically install everything default. Looks like fine. Destination. Install that. Install. And we'll just basically default install of Wireshark. It's going to take a minute to get everything going, but we'll have our packet analyzer. While that's happening, I'm going to take down our public IP. I've just take this down for connecting to it, and then on our VM mainframe, let's go have a look at its public, but also its private IP. So I'll put private IP as well, just for continuity's sake. So our private IP here. Boom. And then let's go over here. Look at our mainframe here. Our second VM called the mainframe. And here's our public IP. We'll just copy it. And we'll remember that that's our public private IP. Private for this one is 10.0.05. And we'll need the user for this one actually later, because we're just gonna use secure shell. But okay, so we've got this information down in our notepad just to have. We just got it ready whenever we might need it. So let's see what we're doing in our VM1 and our remote. Looks like we're still downloading, so give it some time. Oh, don't forget that when it stops like this, it's not that it's not loading anymore, it's that you actually need to accept the npcap setup and get it installed, and then it'll continue your Wireshark installation. Okay. Okay, then we'll click next, finish, and then you'll see as the Wireshark begins its installation again. All right, we'll go next and we'll finish. Okay, so we should have Wireshark. Let's go ahead and let's just look at some packets real quick. So first of all, let's do a simple okay, we are user just make sure. Same, VM Neo, user Neo. Okay. And let's get Wireshark here. And I've just pulled up PowerShell here just to go through some things. And I'm going to maximize this window. And we're going to go to Ethernet. Okay, and you can see that we already, because we're in a virtual machine, there's a lot of packets here. So what I'm going to do is I want to filter by ICMP packets. Then we'll stop. Okay, so I'm filtering by ICMP, and we can see that there's not many packets being received or sent with ICMP. But we're going to get our PowerShell up here, and we're going to ping. Let's start with pinging Google. And look, once we ping Google, we're going to see our IP here, our private IP, is sending a ping. We're getting a reply from Google here. Ping, reply, request, reply, request, reply. And we can see our ICMP packets. And what's really cool about Wireshark is you can get even further and look at some of this stuff. See the data here is just a random cluster of data that it's sending for this ping. So it's very interesting though. So you can see that, we can ping Google and then see it in real time and see the reply, IPs, exchange. But even further, what we can do is we can take our VM2, our VM2's IP, and we can seek to ping it too. So I have that here. So our private IP for VM2 is 10.0.0.5. So let's ping 10.0.0.5. And look at that. You can see that we're right now communicating with our VM2. See, once again, we've got the echo here, ping request, ping reply, ping request, ping reply. This is all ICMP. And you can see this is our IP address here, 10.0.0.4, and this is our VM2's IP, 10.0.0.5. And once again, let's see what type of data we're sending. Is it all the same, just ping? Yeah, it's fun. But what if we take and let's see, we'll ping 10.0.0.5, our VM2. And let's say we want to ping it, forever. We want to just constantly ping it. Keep pinging and getting these replies, right? And we'll see this will keep going on forever. Request reply, request reply, request reply. It's going to keep sending those pings. And it'll keep sending those. Oh, sorry. Let me minimize this. Keep sending those until we do something like this. So I'm going to get back. I'm going to go into our mainframe virtual machine here, right? And this is when we get into our security. So let's see. I believe it's network security group here. It's our network security group. As you can see, it's already made some rules, but we're going to add our own inbound port rule. And the source is going to be, we're going to leave that on any destination, any service. All of these can be default. We're going to do ICMP, It's going to change your destination port ranges because ICMP does not have a port range. And we're actually going to make the priority of this just 210 because we want it to just be prioritized over anything else. And let's make this. Oh, and don't forget, we're going to deny this because basically we want our second virtual machine, our VM mainframe, we want it to stop allowing ICMP packets or stop anything from coming through on that port. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to deny ICMP. So deny, let's just name it deny inbound ICMP. And we're going to add this. And while that's creating, let's in real time go back in our first one. And we can see we're constantly pinging. We've been constantly pinging. And while that security rule is still creating, we're going to have these pings. It's going to keep pinging, and we should see soon enough. Soon enough. Any minute now. Any minute. Should. Let's make sure that rule actually got in. Yep. Oh, we just missed it, but basically, if you see, we were pinging constantly, but now we're getting requests timed out. And we just make this a little bit smaller. You can see response not found in here. Response not seen. Warning sequence, no response seen to ICMP requests. So basically, now that we have this inbound rule, VM1, which is VM Neo, is sending an ICMP packet or sending a packet bound for this protocol, and 10.0.0.5, which is VM2, which is the VM mainframe, is not accepting anything on that protocol, on the ICMP protocol. So you can see it's just no response found. And that's all because if we look back, we now have the security rule. I'm not going to miss it this time. We're just going to keep watching. Boy, we should see it update in real time this time. There we go. And we're getting a reply now from VM2, which is VM mainframe 10.0.0.5. And it's taking our basically, to explain this again, we've re-allowed ICMP port traffic, and that's why it's allowing it. And to clear this, we'll just Control C. All right. Okay. And that's basically all we're doing with ICMP and security networks, but because we're in Wireshark, we can look at some other packets like we could type in, whoops, 1 and 2, we could type in like, let's see, TCP to port equals, oh, whoops, equals 22. And if you know your ports, you'll know that this is the secure shell protocol. And obviously, there's, no packets being exchanged, no traffic on this port. We can make we can have some traffic on this port if we just move to in our PowerShell, use SSH into our other machine, which I'm going to show you right now. So we SSH, and then we're going to do username, or I believe you would use theirs. So excuse me, it'd be mainframe at, and then that IP, which I believe is 10.0.0.5. But just to be sure, let's check. Yep, that's the IP there, and you can see just doing that, we've already got some SSH traffic here. But we can go further. Are you sure you want to continue connecting? We'll put yes. And then now it's going to ask you your password. I'm going to input that. And, oh, I must have mistyped. But you can see even when we put in our wrong password, we're still getting we're still showing our TC port 22 traffic, or our secure shell traffic. Our password still isn't working here. I'm wondering, I'm pretty sure I'm using the right password. Let's try this again. Oops. I'm gonna SSH. I could have just inputted the wrong user here. I could have, yeah, I believe that's what I did. I put the wrong user in and tried to connect, so I apologize for that. But let's just do, that's exactly what happened. And then 10.0.0.5. You see, basically, you can see that you got to know your credentials. You got to make sure your inputs are correct. But that just shows the importance of it all. But okay, here we are. We are now in, we're in Secure Shell. We have a connection set up into our Linux Ubuntu machine, which is our second VM called the mainframe. Say that we are in the mainframe now. But okay, let's try some commands. So, let's see. Maybe we'll try user mainframe. A. You have to excuse me. I don't know many commands for Linux. I know ID. I'm trying to think of another one. Well, at least I know this one. And we are going to exit. But before we do so, you can see all of these secure shell packets we have here between our IPs, between our machines. And then I'll exit. And here we go with an acknowledgement. And we are out of there. So let's look at something else. For our final one, let's just take a look at TCP port. What is it? 3389. And whoa, look at that. Look at all these, different packets here, all this traffic. And all that traffic is happening and is constant because we are using RDP currently, and this is the RDP port number. You can see it's just constant because this is something that's currently in use to get into our virtual machine. And you can look at all these different things. I'm not sure if I understand some of this stuff, but it's still very interesting to look at everything, all the different traffic and network data. Um, a quick one we could do. I know, I'm taking forever. Report 53, and it's just our DNS, and you can see already got some stuff up here. Let's see. We'll use NSLookup. We should see some packets there, right? There we go. As you can see, we basically looked up Google with NSLookup. We input Google, and we've got some DNS packets here. And that's about it. I hope you've learned something about virtual machines and network configuration. Whether that was through building our virtual machines in Azure, just using those resources, setting them up, and taking a look at everything within them, or whether that was using a packet analyzer like Wireshark to look at all the traffic on between two machines, whether that be ICMP traffic, secure shell traffic, or whatever. And I hope you learned something also from our little inbound rule that we made in our security network settings as well. This was Casey. I just want to make a quick demo/tutorial. I hope it didn't take too much of your time, and I appreciate you watching all the way through. Thank you.